Baldwin Hills, Los Angeles, California, February 25th, 1942, 3:16 a.m. The artillery barrage was real. Over 1,400 anti-aircraft shells fired into the Los Angeles sky. 0 aircraft confirmed destroyed, and Japan later verified it sent no planes that night. Official explanations contradicted each other and remain disputed. What follows is a dramatized account based on documented events, told through composite characters representing soldiers who may have witnessed something military records couldn't explain. The searchlights were real. The fear was real. The questions remain unanswered. Through the beam of his 60-inch searchlight, to a young private watched something that should not exist, hang motionless at 12,000 feet while 1,400 anti-aircraft shells passed through it like smoke. Welcome to the War Maestro's archive, where tonight we examine the documented terror of men who caged something in light, and the question that still burns in declassified files. What happens when you trap something that was never meant to be seen? 79 days after Pearl Harbor, the men of the 205th Coast Artillery Regiment couldn't sleep. According to accounts that circulated among searchlight operators, the tension that night was suffocating. One private sat in the barracks at Baldwin Hills, watching his sergeant clean his glasses for the 8th time in an hour. The same circular motion, over and over. The sergeant's hands shook. Radar picked up contacts at 2200 hours, the sergeant said. His voice was flat, empty. 3 stations confirmed, coming from the Pacific. Outside, Los Angeles sprawled below them in practice blackout. 3 million people learning to live in darkness. They disappeared, he continued, then reappeared, closer, then disappeared again. He put his glasses back on. The radar boys said the blips don't move right. They hang in place, then jump, instant. Equipment malfunction seemed logical. The new SCR-270 radar sets were temperamental. Everyone knew that. But yesterday, a Japanese submarine surfaced off Santa Barbara, fired 17 shells at the Elwood oil field. Real shells, real damage. The war had reached American soil. Tonight felt different. At 2:25 a.m., the sirens started. Not the test sirens they drilled with every week, the real ones. The sound that meant everything they'd trained for was happening now. Men ran. The anti-aircraft battery erupted into controlled chaos. Men shouting coordinates, searchlight crews sprinting through darkness. Below them, Los Angeles died. Every light extinguished in seconds. 3 million people plunged into blackout. Veterans of that battery later described reaching their searchlight stations in those first moments. The metal was cold, February cold in Southern California. Breath clouded as they powered up the 60-inch beams. Lieutenant Hayes screamed into the field telephone, "Confirm contact. Repeat, confirm contact." The radar station reported multiple aircraft. Altitude 12,000 feet, bearing 270 degrees. Coming from the Pacific, operators swept their beams west, where the enemy should be coming from. Empty sky. "Morrison," one operator shouted toward the next searchlight position. "You got anything?" 300 yards south, another beam swung wild. Desperate. Searching. "Negative. Where the hell are they?" Then that beam stopped. Just stopped. Locked straight up, directly overhead. Other operators swung their lights vertical. 8 searchlight beams converged on the same point. Stories from that night describe something hanging there in the crossing beams, 12,000 feet up. Caught. Training should have kicked in automatically. Identify aircraft type. Track movement. Maintain illumination for gunners. But according to testimony, their training never covered this. The thing was large, building-sized. Reports indicate the searchlight beams didn't reflect properly. The light seemed to sink into it, get absorbed. The edges blurred, like looking through water. And it didn't move. Planes moved. Everything in the sky moved. Wind resistance, engine thrust, momentum. Something made them move. This thing hung, perfectly still, caught in their cage of light. "Targets acquired," Hayes screamed. "All batteries prepare to fire." Operators kept their beams locked. Veterans later recalled their hands welding to the controls, an inability to look away, because accounts from that night described the shape changing, pulsing, like it was breathing. Radio transmissions crackled. "Chen, you seeing this? Keep your light on it." But voices sounded small, swallowed. 12 searchlights now, all converging, creating a cage of pure light. And according to those who were there, the thing sat in the center, patient. That was the word that appeared in multiple reports. The word that was redacted from the official record. Patient, like it was waiting for something. At 3:16 a.m., the 90mm guns opened fire. The sound was annihilation, 12-pound shells screaming upward at 2,000 feet per second. Veterans described feeling each shot in their chests, their teeth, their bones. The concussion waves rolled through them. They kept their lights locked. The first shells reached altitude. The sky erupted. Fire, shrapnel, smoke. Detonations so bright eyes watered. The thing didn't fall. "Hey, just fire," Hayes screamed. "Lead the target." But there was nothing to lead. It wasn't moving. More batteries joined in, Santa Monica to Long Beach. The entire defensive perimeter, artillery hammering empty sky. The noise became continuous thunder. Searchlight operators reported seeing everything. They watched shells punch straight through, saw explosions on the other side, watched shrapnel that should shred aluminum and steel pass through like the thing wasn't there. But it was there. The searchlights proved it. Solid, real, visible. Radio static crackled with panicked voices. "Not hitting. Confirmed. Direct impact. No effect. What the hell is that thing?" One transmission cut through. "Tommy, look at the edge." Operators shifted their beams slightly. Accounts from that night described the thing growing, not moving toward them. Growing, expanding outward. The blurred edges spreading like ink in water. 20 searchlights touched it now. And everywhere light hit, witnesses reported the thing seemed to feed. Getting bigger. "Cease fire." Hayes dropped the telephone. Veterans later recalled never hearing an officer's voice break like that. The guns didn't stop. Batteries across the city firing on independent authority. Convinced they were stopping a Japanese raid. The shells kept coming. The thing kept growing. At 3:47 a.m., operators' arms were numb. They'd held the searchlights locked for 31 minutes. The thing was descending, not falling, descending deliberately, coming down through the shells, through the fire, through the cage of light they'd built. Close enough now that witnesses reported seeing texture, surfaces that shifted, patterns that hurt to look at, shapes brains couldn't process, angles that didn't make sense. A deep vibration hummed through the air, through bones. One radio transmission came through as barely a whisper. "Chen, I can't look away. My eyes won't close. Can you close your eyes?" Multiple operators later described trying. They couldn't. 6,000 feet now, then 4,000. The anti-aircraft fire was constant. Over 1,000 shells fired, each one passing through, each one doing nothing. Veterans recalled the air smelling wrong. Ozone, burnt metal, something else they had no words for. Searchlights began flickering. All across Los Angeles, the lights were failing. One by one, the cage collapsing. Just a few beams left. The thing was 500 feet above the last operational positions. Operators reported seeing details now. Too many details. Minds trying to reject what eyes showed them. There were openings in it, not doors, not windows. Spaces where something looked out. Spaces where eyes should be, but they weren't eyes. Abandoned position. Hayes was running, boots on concrete, men fleeing their posts. Stories from that night describe hands that wouldn't leave the controls, fused there. The metal burning cold against palms, 100 feet up. And according to testimony from those final moments, the understanding came with perfect, terrible clarity. It wasn't attacking. Never was. They caught it. At 4:14 a.m., the guns stopped. Every battery across Los Angeles. Simultaneous. Like someone flipped a switch. In the silence, witnesses reported hearing impossible things. Heartbeats thundering. Crying somewhere in the dark. 3 million people holding their breath. The searchlights died, but operators knew the thing was close enough to touch, felt it above them, the weight of it pressing down on reality itself. The air was ice, not temperature, absence, an emptiness that pulled at them. According to multiple accounts, men tried to scream. Nothing came out. A sound split the silence, like glass breaking, or ice cracking, or something between dimensions tearing. Then it was gone, not ascending, not moving away, just gone. The searchlights came back on, swept empty sky, found nothing. Other crews shouting, confused, asking where it went. Veterans described collapsing by their searchlights. Hands burned, not from heat, from cold. The metal had frozen to their palms. When they pulled free, skin came with them. Did you see where it went? Stories from that night mention the lies that came automatically. Because some did see, they saw it fold, saw space above the battery crease and bend, saw reality swallow it whole, close back over like water over stone. But that was impossible, so they lied. The all clear sounded at 7:21 a.m. Los Angeles woke to news of victory. Headlines screamed, "Air battle rages over Los Angeles." Papers printed a photo, searchlights converging on something in the sky. The photo was retouched, enhanced, made clearer for publication. Years later, researchers found the original negative, saw what the retouching covered. Empty sky, or not empty, something there the camera couldn't capture. A blur, a smudge in reality. In debriefing, officers asked standard questions. What did you see? How many aircraft? Direction of travel? Weather balloon, witnesses reported saying. Voices mechanical. Dead. Must have been a weather balloon. Looked bigger than it was. Men nodded. Agreed. Their stories converging on the same safe lie. Secretary of the Navy Frank Knox called it a false alarm, jittery nerves. Secretary of War Henry Stimson contradicted him, said 15 enemy aircraft were definitely there, then backtracked. The explanations multiplied. Weather balloons, mass hysteria, Japanese aircraft from a secret base in Mexico. But those who were there knew what they saw. 1 week later, accounts describe letters written home, telling families everything was fine. Not mentioning the burns, the sleepless nights, the feeling of cold that returned late at night. That pressing emptiness, transfer requests poured in. One man requested Europe, said he'd rather face German bombers than spend another night in Los Angeles. 2 others applied for medical discharge, psychological reasons. The Army approved both. After the war, the Japanese government confirmed it. No aircraft over Los Angeles that night. None launched, none deployed. Official conclusion: weather balloons and war nerves. But in 1983, the Office of Air Force History noted something quiet, buried in appendix materials. The acting commander testified he first believed he saw 15 planes in the air, but quickly decided he was seeing smoke. Smoke from what? No fires, no bombs, no incendiaries. The smoke came from their own shells. Unless there was something else making smoke, something the shells couldn't touch. Among the stories that persist from that night, some veterans reportedly kept private journals. Whether any of these accounts survive is unclear, but the questions they allegedly raised remain haunting. It wasn't attacking. We caught it in the lights and couldn't let go. It was trying to leave. We kept shooting, kept the lights on it, trapped it here. What if it's still here? What if the searchlights just showed us where it was? What if it never really left? What if they're all still here and we just can't see them without the lights? Such accounts, verified or not, reflect the psychological impact on those who manned the searchlights that night. 1,400 shells fired, 0 aircraft shot down, 0 wreckage recovered, but hundreds of trained military personnel saw something, tracked it, targeted it, watched their shells pass through it. The military records are public, the testimonies documented, the contradictions unexplained. You decide what to believe. If this account from the War Maestro's archive left you questioning what hangs above us in the dark, look up tonight and ask yourself what you'd see if someone turned the searchlights back on. Subscribe for more documented terrors, where military history meets the unexplainable. Hit that notification bell before the next cage of light is built, and share this with fellow war horror enthusiasts who understand that some things were never meant to be illuminated. Leave a comment below. What do you think the searchlights trapped that night? Weather balloon, mass hysteria, or something that's still waiting in the darkness above Los Angeles? The records are real, the testimonies are documented, the truth is yours to decide. Remember, some cages are made of light, and some things are still learning how to escape.